How to load a new bike into a vehicle. Tools needed: an adjustable wrench and a multi-tool. Each vehicle is different, but when fitting a bicycle into a vehicle, we want to follow one basic rule, and that is to disassemble the bike the least amount as possible. If the bicycle doesn't fit with both wheels, we want to first start by taking off the front wheel, and then if that doesn't fit, we can take off both wheels. If your vehicle is an SUV, wagon, minivan with the seats down, and or a truck, the bicycle should fit in the back with both wheels on. In order to load your bicycle into one of these larger vehicles, you're going to want to have chain side up, then slide the rear wheel first, and maneuver the bike into the vehicle without damaging the vehicle and or the bike. And you may have to twist the wheel up in order for the bicycle to fit. This scenario is with our largest bike and one of the smaller SUV vehicles. If your vehicle is a sedan, the bicycle will best fit in the rear seats with the front wheel off if you have the Pixel ST, Pixel, and or the East side. To take off the front wheel, you're going to want to first disengage the brakes by lifting this black lever up. Flip over the bike on the seat and handlebars. Next, loosen the front wheel bolts, remembering lefty loosey, righty tighty, but don't completely remove the bolts. Now you should be able to lift up the front wheel. Now to get your bicycle into your car with the front wheel off, you're going to want to turn your handlebars 180 degrees, then slide the bicycle in with the rear wheel in first and maneuvering it not to damage the car and or the bike. Now that you have gotten to your destination, we're going to take the bike out of the car and put the wheel back on. With the bike on the seat and handlebars, we're going to slide the front wheel onto the fork and hand tighten those bolts down until we can't no more. Now with our wrench, we're going to tighten both bolts down on the wheel, remembering lefty loosey, righty tighty. Next, flip your bike back over onto its wheels. Lastly, we have to re-engage the brakes by squeezing down the brake caliper and pushing down the lever, then centering the brakes by squeezing the brake handle. If you have the Azure and are trying to get your bicycle into a sedan, we are going to have to take off both wheels because of the fenders. Just like the Pixel on the East side, we're going to take off the front wheel the same way, but we don't have to disengage the brakes since this is a coaster brake bike. Since the Azure is a coaster brake bike, we're going to have to first remove this bracket on the non-drive side of the bike. To remove this bracket, we're going to use our wrench to hold the back side of the bolt, then use our multi-tool to loosen the screw completely and take off the bolt. Next, we're going to loosen both bolts, but not taking the bolts completely off. Lift up the rear wheel, then lift up the chain and slide it off the rear cog. Now that the bike has its wheels removed, we're going to slide it into the rear seats, and remember to take the two wheels that we took off. Now that you got into your destination, we're going to take the bike out and put the wheels back on. We are going to start with the rear wheel first, so we're going to slide the chain over that rear cog, then sliding the wheel into the rear dropouts, and then hand tightening those bolts down. Next, we're going to install that bolt and screw back onto that bracket on the non-drive side of the bike and hand tightening it down. We're going to use our wrench to securely tighten both sides of the bolts down, making sure to get those bolts really tight. The last step on the rear wheel is to tighten that bolt down on that rear bracket, so we're going to slide our wrench onto that rear bolt and then use our multi-tool to tighten that screw down. Next, install that front wheel back on by sliding the wheel into the fork and then hand tightening those bolts down. The last step is to tighten those bolts down on the front wheel. Some things to consider if you are putting your bike in the backseat of your car is that your back seats can get dirty, so you might want to consider bringing a towel or blanket to put over the seats.